على 3 درجات. So he says, call on him out of fear and hope, طمع, desire, covetousness. Surely the mercy of God is close to the people of ihsan. So Allah's mercy is close to the people of ihsan. Allah has united fear and hope in this verse. And in reality, it's طمع. It's this desire inside for something. So it's in order for the servant to have both fear and hope. Allah says they hope for the mercy of God and they fear His punishment. So these two go together, fear and hope. The poet said, وَلَا بُدَّ مِن نَعْلَيْهِ خَوْفًا مَعَ الرَّجَى. You have to have the two sandals of fear and hope. Some say it's the two wings. You can't fly without the two of them, fear and hope. And then he says, فَإِنَّ مُوجِبَ الْخَوْفِ مَعْرِفَةُ سَطْوَةِ اللَّهِ, that khawf results from knowledge of Allah's divine power, that Allah can, the Lord of tsunamis. I mean, that's where fear comes from. Because God is merciful and compassionate, but God is also the Lord of orphans, the Lord of hurricanes, the Lord of all of these majestic things that occur in the world that are frightening and terrible. Allah is Dhul Jalali wal Ikram. He's the Lord of majesty. He seizes people. He can take you at any time. He can take your child. He can take your life and limb. He can take all your property. That is God also. It's not just, all the nice things that happen in life. No, Allah is both. He gives and He takes. And so it's an awareness of that power of God. And it's Dajjalic, those people that try to present God as everything's nice, everybody's going to heaven, it's all going to be wonderful. That's not reality. Reality is that there's people enslaved into prostitution. There's pedophiles that rape children. That's also part of the world. It's all these terrifying aspects of the world. And Allah lets those things happen. It's part of His sunnah in His creation, that He's the creator of good and evil. And we're not Manichaeans. We don't separate God into, there's good God and then there's this Ahriman, bad God. Or if God's all good, why does He allow evil? That's not a Muslim problem. It's never been a Muslim problem. We accept God the way God has revealed Himself to us, and we don't have those problems. فَعَالُ لِمَا يُرِيدُ. He does whatever He wants. أُلْقِ هَؤُلَاءِ فِي النَّارِ وَلَا أُبَالِي. I throw these into the fire and I have no concern, none whatsoever, no emotion. وَأُلْقِ هَؤُلَاءِ فِي الْجَنَّةِ وَلَا أُبَالِي. And I put these into paradise and I have no emotion. تَعَالَ اللَّهُ عَمَّا يَصِفُونَ. That's the transcendent God, and that God is real. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also an immanent God, involved in His creation, filled with mercy and benevolence, and that's the tajalli that we hope for. That's the manifestation of God that we desire in our lives. But both are God, and to reject one is to reject the other. Both are God. We don't separate. We're people of tawheed. We believe that God is one, but God has attributes. And those attributes are real. And that's what fear is. Fear is a recognition of that aspect of God that's terrifying, that can expel us from His mercy, can deprive us of all good, and it's tardul bab, to be thrown away from the door. There's a wonderful scene in Candide, Voltaire's Candide, at the end when he goes, Professor Pangloss. Who's the other character? Candide. Professor Pangloss and Candide. They're traveling around the world. Pangloss is trying to work out if this is the best of all possible worlds. He's a German metaphysician. And Candide is just trying to find out what's going on. Like, what's the world about? So they end up in Turkey. And they go to this Sufi sheikh. He's going to give them all the answers to the world. And so they knock on the door, and this very austere Sufi sheikh answers the door of the Zawiya. And he's, what do you want? And Dr. Pangloss is like, you have to explain to us, is this the best of all possible worlds? Why do people suffer in the world? Why is there suffering? And the Sufi looks at me and he says, what does the captain of the ship care about the rats in the hull? And then he slams the door. That's transcendence. That's an aspect of God. And that's what he was teaching him. It's actually quite a brilliant insight. That was a lesson, because that is the nature of evil. There's an aspect of God that is so transcendent, so frightening, so terrifying, we can't comprehend it. We can't understand it. But it's God. And we accept it. We're in submission to it. We say Allahu Akbar. But then hope is engendered out of knowledge of His mercy. That He gives immense rewards. That we're healthy. We have so many blessings. We have water to drink. We have food to eat. We can go to sleep. When we drink, we can urinate. When we eat, we can defecate. We have spouses. We have children. We have houses. We have weather that is just right for human habitation. Our planet's protected. We have all of these amazing things. And then He gives us these incredible tools and gifts to do things. We have commerce from all around the world. And we have people that are doctors that work hard so they can heal our ills and treat us. We have pediatricians that have compassion for our children. We have mothers that respond in the middle of the night, even though they're exhausted, to the crying of their children, and hold them in their arms and rock them. We have people that are so outraged by the injustice of the world that they give up everything, their careers, their stature, to fight for the truth. People that will die. They'll literally go up against the gun because they know something's right, and they'll defend that right. We have people like that. The world's filled with that. And that's what Helen Keller said, the world's filled with suffering, but don't forget it's also filled with the overcoming of suffering. And that's what hope is about. And that's why they have to have this balance. You can't have one without the other. If you have one, you'll go crazy. You'll become the Richard Dawkins who rejects God and sees all the evil in the world and writes about how terrible religion is and all these things. Because all he sees is the evil of religion. Well, when we come here, do we see the evil of Islam in this city? Really? Look at these people. Look at these amazing people. Look how they go to the prayer. Getting up before dawn, there's people waiting to get into the roda at 2:30 in the morning. They sit and wait for an hour just to go into the thing. And then they'll give you anything. People, really, they make room for you. Look how crowded it is. You know how people behave in large crowds? Look at just the adab of the people. This is the Islam that we see. It's charity. Look at all these people giving charity. Look at this. This hotel is a waqf for poor people, to help people. Somebody, the king made it a waqf. So we're staying here, we're eating this food, we're paying rent and all these things. That money that we're paying, a large portion of it is going to help people. That's from love of God. That's from religion. That's what we see. That's our experience of religion. So all of these things in the world that you see that are good, that's what gives us hope. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, tell my servants, I am the forgiving, I am the merciful. Tell my servants, he tells the Prophet, Nabbi ibadi, tell my servants, I am the merciful, I am the forgiving, but also remind them, my punishment my chastisement is fierce, it's painful. They go together. Man arafa fadlullahi raja'u. If you know the bounty of Allah, you'll have nothing but hope. وَمَنْ عَرَفَ عَدْلَهُ خَفَاء. But if you know the justice of God, you'll have fear. That's why you need to know the balance and the يَأْمُرُ بِالْعَادْلِ وَالْإِحْسَانِ. He commands to both justice and ihsan.